Hi, this is Eva Marie Lee, and today we will be talking about motivating operations. In simplest terms, a motivating operation is that which drives an organism. Similar to setting event or discriminative stimuli, a motivating operation is established by environmental operations, such as deprivation, satiation, and aversive stimuli, that either strengthen or weaken the effectiveness of a consequence or the frequency of behavior associated with the stimuli, object, or event. So it helps us understand the frequency of occurrence of the behavior by understanding the effectiveness of the stimulus, object, or event relative to the consequence. Motivating operations have two effects: a value-altering effect and a behavior-altering effect. The value-altering effect is any environmental variable that momentarily alters the effectiveness of some stimulus, object, or event as a reinforcer. It may depend on elements like specific response requirements, such as a low response requirement. For example, would you do 1 sit-up for $10? Or a high response requirement, would you do 1,000 sit-ups for $10? How much would an individual value that consequence based on the response required to get it? An establishing operation like 1 sit-up for $10 increases in the reinforcing effectiveness of the $10 bill. An abolishing operation like 1,000 sit-ups for $10 decreases the reinforcing effectiveness of the $10 bill. Behavior-altering effect is any environmental variable that momentarily alters the current frequency of the behavior that has been associated for the particular consequence with that stimulus, object, event. Evocative effect increases the current frequency of the behavior, while ablative effect decreases the current frequency of the behavior. A discriminative stimulus affects behavior because its presence has been correlated with differential availability. That is, in discriminative stimulus, the availability of the reinforcer controls the behavior. Motivating operation controls behavior because of its relationship to the differential effectiveness. That is, a relevant consequence has been effective in the presence of and ineffective in the absence of the MO. A motivating operation is what makes you want something. A behavior is more likely to occur in environments where the SD is available, such as gas in a car, and a motivating operation will drive it: how much and how often we want to go somewhere, or to what extent and how often we want to go somewhere. If a discriminative stimuli is not available, the motivating operation can still affect a behavior if it is strong enough. Unconditioned motivating operations are effective stimulus conditions that will always naturally be effective from birth without prior learning. These include food deprivation, water deprivation, oxygen deprivation, sleep deprivation, activity deprivation, sex deprivation, being too hot, being too cold, and an increase in painful stimulus. It can help to think of any MO as being along a deprivation-satiation continuum. On the other hand, conditioned motivating operations must be learned. A reflexive conditional motivating operation depends on conditional relationships of consequences or other stimuli and establishes itself as a signal to either improving or worsening the environment. It can make its own removal effective as reinforcement. For example, a vet tag at a vet's office may be a reflexive conditioned motivating operation for a painful stimulus for a dog. If every time a dog goes to a vet's office, the dog is stuck with a needle by the same vet tech or is in pain and is handled by that vet tech, the dog associates the office and that vet tech with pain and therefore barks wildly and pulls at his leash every time he sees the tech. But if that tech is not there, the dog is calmer when entering the vet's office. The presence or absence of the vet tech has become a punisher or reinforcer and signals to the pup that his situation is about to get worse. A surrogate or substitute CMO is produced when a stimulus is paired with a motivating operation. It produces the same effects or consequences as the MO because of some type of pairing or association. For example, a mom hands her child a device every time the child cries from activity deprivation during outings. The child then becomes bored without a device, and like activity deprivation makes him want to cry, so does being without a device. A transitive CMO establishes or abolishes the need for something else in the environment as a reinforcer or punisher rather than altering itself, and increases the value of the second stimulus. The value of a key is nothing when you have nowhere to go, but it increases when you want to drive somewhere, and increases even more when you're late for work. Extremely important.